Hey. Time for another out of this world story from our space. Caught the girlfriend in a lie. Well, it's currently 4:30 a.m. and I get home at 3:20 a.m. from work to see my girlfriend to the windows, hurrying out of the living room holding her phone like she's talking to someone on video chat. Automatically, my gut is screaming at me, telling me something isn't right. I walk in and she's clearly drunk, talking to some girl, and she quickly ends the call and is asking me how my night was at work. I ask who she was talking to, and she says, Jermaine's wife. I asked, oh, so you still talk to Jermaine? She shakes her head while looking at the ground. No, not very much. I look on the kitchen counter and I see she has a corset there, and I pick it up and ask her about it. Why is this here? She replies, oh, I was just wearing it to help me fit into my jeans. Really? I just stare at her. She then excuses herself to the bathroom, wonder why, and heads upstairs. I'm hearing laundry going. She doing chores at 4:30 in the morning, then she goes into my oldest son's room and passes out in his bed next to him. I view my home cameras, and of course, she's talking to some guy. My son wakes up and he tells me mom's been up all night. She's pretty loud and talking to someone on the phone. I ask if he knew who she was talking to, and he replies a friend of hers from work. I'm bouncing between being mad and utterly crushed for my kids. We were together for 8 years and split up for 5 years, and it hasn't even been 2 months since she's been living in my house again. My boys have been so happy living here with their mom. I'm so pissed off at her that she can be this selfish to blow up the family like this again. She's got to go. I'm not doing this again with her. I have all the evidence I need when she wakes up from her drunk in a blackout. I don't care if she slept with the guy or not. She lied. The trust is broken. And seeing how before she has cheated on me, I can't trust her again. There's no point. I told her she had one chance and not to screw it up. I'm laying in my bed typing this from my phone. My oldest son is next to me since his drunk mom took his bed. I lock my bedroom door so she can't come in. Reddit, what advice can you give me? What options do I have from here on how to handle this? I have no idea how to update, so I'm just going to edit this post. Sorry it's taking me so long to update, and I'm sorry for my lack of replies. I have read every comment. It's just been a crazy day. I'm going to answer some questions before updating. My boys are ages 7 and 9. Her daughters are 1 and 3. I am 34. She is 32. Her daughter's dad, let's call him D, is a loser and a hoarder. As soon as my soon-to-be ex left him, he had his mom move in to help with bills and watching his kids, when he has them. Let's call this soon-to-be ex H. We dated for 8 years. When I finally had enough, I left H in 2017. I spent the next 5 years improving myself and healing. I spent 5 years in therapy and got help with medication. Focused on my boys and my career. Made new friends, got into new hobbies. A few months ago, my boys told me that when D got aggravated, he would lock them outside whenever their mom H wasn't home. After finding this out, I immediately contacted H and told her the situation. Long story short, she left him and moved out. She had nowhere else to go, so decided to move into the spare room in my house till she could save enough to get her own place. We all know how that worked out. So to the update. So after waking up at 6 a.m. to get my boys ready for school and fed them breakfast, I took a look in to check on soon-to-be ex. She hasn't even moved from her original position I found her in. I can already tell how this morning is going to play out. After bringing the boys to school, I contacted my best friend, who happens to be my neighbor, and told him what happened. He told me to pack up my range bag, and we left to go shooting. Big hobby of mine is target shooting. And we spent the morning at the range and talking. After that, I decided I needed to head home and deal with the situation. After getting home, I noticed on my cameras she just woke up and she looked like she was having a rough one. I know for a fact she didn't sleep with anyone, but I do know she was video chatting with a guy and was changing her clothes in front of him. The point is, she lied to me about who she was talking to, and after everything that happened in her past relationship, if she can lie and get wasted on a Monday night when the kids have school in the morning, she can't be trusted. She was already working on building my trust and couldn't be honest with me. So boom, it's done. She has zero respect for me. It just goes to show she has no remorse for the way she treated me in the past. I'm not a meal ticket, and I'm not going to be someone's financial security. I sat in the kitchen and waited for her to come down. She came in and looked at me, and looked at the floor without saying anything. I then say after a few moments, "We need to have a talk about what happened last night, and your behavior." "I know we do." I just want you to know I'm so sorry. I don't remember much of anything. That's convenient. I'm not here to argue about what happened and what didn't happen. The fact is you lied to me last night, and that's all I need to know. The cameras expose your lies, and I have the videos here if you would like to see them to refresh your memory. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My name. Going forward, when you get home later, you need to move yourself into the spare bedroom, and you need to start saving money and looking for a new place to live. You have 30 days to get your crap together and move out. Okay, I understand. I just really don't know what I lied about, and I don't remember anything, and I'm not trying to excuse my actions. I just want to talk and give you my side. But you don't remember your side, right? Well, if you're going to put words in my mouth, never mind. Do not turn this around on me. Remember, it's not just me you let down. You let down not just the boys, but your daughters today as well. You were supposed to pick them up from Dee's place. I know. No, I don't think you do know. You let everyone down with your selfish actions. You need to pick yourself out, because I'm not doing this again with you. Okay, but can we talk about this? I've been stressed out lately. I haven't had my medication in a week, and I haven't talked to my therapist in over 4 months. I have an appointment with her today. I need to go. So can we please talk about this after I pick up the girls and bring them to daycare? Go. She leaves and I head upstairs to bed to take a nap. Waking up, I make this update. Checking my camera, she made it home, came upstairs, tried to come into my room, but I locked the door. Tried to knock, but I'm asleep. She goes to the living room to take a nap, where she currently is. Our first reactions from Czar Bandit. Make it as quick and clean as possible. Cover your bases. A blowout confrontation might feel good, but is generally unhelpful to your interests. Do not conduct this in front of your kids. She will use them against you and make you the bad guy. But have an answer for them as to why things are happening and have failed. Don't leave a non-explanation where they are left to filling the blanks, blaming themselves. Protect yourself. Make sure there's video or at least audio running, assuming your one-party consent, of every interaction you have with her for your safety against false claims. Next comment from Mrs. R765. Time to end it. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I'd been married 27 years. I stayed with my soon-to-be ex-husband after several affairs early in the marriage because I had 3 young kids and no help and no place to go. Now, caught in the net again, but can leave. After I told my daughter of his previous affairs, the kids never knew. She told me, "You should have left them. Our lives would have been much better." Kids adapt much faster when they're young. Get out of the marriage. It's for everyone's best interests. Clean cut. Next off from Doofy Le Boucheron. The fact that she cheated on you in the past and is doing it again is enough to make a drastic decision. But the fact that she keeps your son awake by talking too loudly all night on the phone in his bedroom is unforgivable. And in addition, she steals his room. Protect your son as well as yourself. She's toxic to both of you. Moving on. Divine intervention. My girlfriend, now ex, lost her phone today at work while on lunch and just said F it and decided to order a new one. I waited till I was off work and followed the iCloud tracing and found the phone in a store. Some dude had it and gave it to me if I was able to unlock it, ignoring the fact I'm the freaking lock screen image. Anyway, I get into my car and basically find messages and videos of all types of cheatery. I came home, she threatened to kill herself and all that jazz. I calmly grabbed some underwear, some clothes, and my PC. Told her it's over, and she was on the floor begging. I mean begging. To make the situation a little darker, I lost my dad and grandma to COVID, diabetes complications, which she wasn't much support because she was undergoing her own depression therapy. I'm very black and white with these types of things. I doubt I'll ever consider anything serious with her, but I'm just curious how others would react and what other people would do. I played it cool when I was grabbing my crap, but I'm at a diner now just eating some toast. Really would love to wake up from this nightmare. Sorry for the long post. First reaction from Wooloo. What? You can't say you doubt you'll do anything serious with her. Dude, it's over. Don't even think about it. DOP responds, yes, to be clear, that's what I meant. I'm just a little down right now. I'm writing like an idiot. But yeah, I know it's a done deal. Next thought from No Idea 19. Old guy here. This is more about the phone than the cheating. I take it you mean videos for having sex. Sorry, but being an old guy, I just don't get that. What the hell was she saving it for? I mean, fine, you take a pic and send it out, get one back, and the little back and forth with it. Okay, I guess I get that. But afterwards, why hang on to it? The moment is gone. What was she going to do with it? Stare longingly at a D-pic? One thing I do know, guys have no problem and seem to enjoy sharing them with other guys. Something to remember, ladies. You may break up with them, but they've got those pics for life. Guess I'm just too old. Next thought from Gats1. Bro, I'm damn proud of you. On to the next story. My entire foundation is broken. I am lost. I'm absolutely devastated, and I am in need of any guidance, kindness, or harshness anyone can offer me. My head is a mess, and I can't live like this. The details of our life together are unimportant, I suppose, but I have never loved or connected with anyone the way I do with him. The love, the chemistry, it's out of this world. Last week of January, we got into a pretty gnarly argument over the phone. Hilariously enough, he was feeling insecure and groundlessly accusing me of cheating on him. One of his best male friends was in town from the East Coast, so they basically spent 2 days partying their balls off, and his freakout was fueled by booze and cocaine. Side note, my partner does not have a drug problem anymore, but has had times of weakness, like any other recovering addict. Off topic. After being pointlessly berated and freaked out on, I told him I couldn't talk to him when he's that messed up, and that I was done with the situation. Apparently, he took that to mean done overall, so the next day, he slept with an old acquaintance of his. I reached out the day after his affair, I obviously didn't know about it yet, and we straightened everything out quickly. During his conversation, I asked him 4 times if anything had happened the last 2 days that I should know about. He swore up and down that all he had done was bar hop with his buddy, and I let it go for a minute, despite having a strong gut feeling that something was off. I brought it up a handful of times in following weeks, and he swore on all kinds of things, including the life of his child, that nothing had happened. Fast forward to March 2nd. I'd been having undeniable symptoms of a progressing STI for a few weeks. I'd originally written off the discomfort as a yeast infection or something, since I've been on some meddlesome medications. But then the pain and discharge started, and I knew something was definitely wrong. So I confronted him. Extracting the truth from this man took hours. And it turns out, he didn't even confess truthfully. He originally told me that because he felt so devastated and angry at me for dumping him, he impulsively hit up an old female friend of his. He went to where she was staying, they had even more drinks, and had a sloppy one-nighter. They screwed once, and he left. That was bad enough. For almost 2 weeks, I was all over the place. And then I found out it was way worse than I was originally told. And he didn't tell me any of this outright. It's been a trickling of truth ever since. A few days ago, Friday night, I had a total breakdown. Through some accidental phrasing of his, I realized he still hadn't told me what actually happened. So I told him I was reaching out to his affair partner and just talking to her about it. I was done with the BS. I told him that if he didn't give me the truth before she did, I was leaving. He flipped when I asked him to remind me what her last name was, and very, very reluctantly gave it to me, further validating my suspicions. So I reached out to her on Facebook that night after he stormed out of my house. And 10 minutes after he'd left my house, he called me and told me the truth. After our phone fight back in January, he got a hold of her on Facebook and asked if she wanted to meet up. She said she was free the next day. So this man booked a hotel room for them. They met up at the room at 8 p.m. and spent 12 hours scrolling, at least 6 times from what she told me, drinking and getting high. He did everything with her, things he and I hadn't even done yet. And he's definitely never tried to have a marathon like that with me before. I'd literally threw up after I hung up on him. I am shocked, appalled, feeling more self-conscious and inadequate than I ever have, and completely devastated. The woman in question is great. I explained the situation to her, and she was totally supportive and willing to tell me the nitty-gritty of things. He told her a giant sob story about getting dumped, and it turns out they'd hooked up once before, like 4 years ago, a threesome with him and his ex-girlfriend. And I know she's being sincere. I actually really like her, and I'm now irrationally angry with my partner for doing this, because she and I could have been friends if this hadn't happened. I digress. Despite not knowing the actual truth of the affair, I came to terms with his reasoning, him assuming I was done with him, for what he did weeks ago. I decided that I want to try and reconcile all this. He isn't a bad person, and lying, even to the psycho degree he's lied about all this, is not normal for him. He has expressed severe regret and has been by my side throughout all this. I know he was just afraid to admit what happened because he's in love with me and didn't want me to leave. It's stupid and selfish, but it makes sense, or as much sense as something like this can make. However, I'm so disgusted. I feel like so much has been stolen from me. The safety, exclusivity, and comfort of this relationship is gone. But my biggest problem is how inadequate I feel. I've barely been able to look myself in the mirror the last few weeks. I feel ugly, worthless. I can't stop comparing my sex life with him to the night he had with her. It's all I think about. My ex-husband had full-on affairs while we were married. A one-time, drug-fueled screwfest isn't the worst thing I've ever been faced with. But it's presented a whole set of feelings and doubts and bitterness that I'm not handling well, to put it mildly. Does this ever get better? How do I start piecing myself together? What have all of you done to overcome the feelings of worthlessness after something like this? Therapy is not an option for a few months. I was diagnosed with MS back in November, was out of work until I started a work-from-home job last week, and my insurance benefits don't kick in until June. I just want to make sure that I'm not neglecting myself or sweeping this under the rug in the meantime. Thank you for taking the time to read this. I've needed to get this off my chest for weeks. First reactions from Loco Moco 210. He gave you an STD and booked a night at a hotel to have crazy sex with a former hookup after one fight. And he's a recovering addict who binges when his friend's in town. I understand you love him, but he is hurting you and doing it with intentionality. There are men out there who would never do anything of these things to their partner. I think you're going to have to really ask yourself what you think you want and what you think you deserve. Because if it were me, I would never trust this guy. Next bit of input from Bad Kitty 532. Okay, so he went on a coke and booze bender, slept with someone, and gave you an STI, then lied through his teeth. Oh yeah, is a total sweetheart. You forgive if you want, but if you stay, you don't deserve sympathy. Sorry. It's the stupidest thing ever to stay with someone like that. Oh, he's not that bad. Really? Really? Read your post again. It won't stop hurting. It won't get better, and you'll spend your days questioning your sanity when he decides to fall off the wagon again. Will he get another woman pregnant? Will you catch something you can't cure? Is it really worth it? You're worth more than that. You don't deserve to live with all the what-ifs, but it's your choice. Good luck. Our next story starts off, turned out, I was the other guy. This is both for personal therapy and community aid in sharing a story, not meant for judgments. In 2014, I, 33 male, met 31 female, AC. Another friend was looking for 2 other people to fill a lease. We were both single at the time. As soon as she met me, she was hands-on, full hand-holding, even going so far as to suggest we claim to be a couple on the lease. We didn't end up signing, but AC and I kept talking. Well, I liked the attention of her attraction, and I considered her a friend. The attraction wasn't mutual. She invited me to a friend to get together at her place and was naturally very handsy with me to everyone. Well, late one night after finishing my bouncing shift, I'd started drinking away depression about a week out from having lost an MMA fight. AC came to mind. I texted AC to see if she'd be interested in hanging out, and she told me to come up to her place to watch Netflix and talk. I arrived. One thing led to another, and we hooked up. It was not great. The next morning, I felt pretty foolish, and we generally mutually stopped hanging out, running into each other, and texting as much. My job pulled me away from town frequently. We would hang out infrequently, and there would always be that weirdness between us about a regrettable and odd hookup. In the summer of 2018, I was, still single and, preparing to leave for Ghana at the end of the summer for a work project. AC contacted me and expressed interest in hanging out and doing martial arts together before I left. I told her about my personal training martial arts sessions and invited her to watch. While she was not as flirty as before, she was still very physical. Granted, martial arts tends to be. After the session, I went to give her a high five, and she went for, and I gave her, a double-leg takedown. We laughed about it, and it was all in good fun, and her technique was solid. We talked about our experience in martial arts. After the session, she invited me to hang out, play music, and watch movies at her place later that night. I came over that night, and AC had set up her bed for watching TV. After a few hours of playing guitar, writing songs, sharing old music, talking about our lives, we settled to watch TV. She wanted to show me this wild show called Altered Carbon. As we watched on her bed, she cuddled up to me wearing a lacy nightie. I kissed her, and we hooked up. This time was everything our first time hadn't been. The next couple of days, We would do everything together, of course, hooking up here and there. But there was always this weirdness that I felt. Like it didn't feel right that we were together, and there was a constant lump in her throat. If we were at a public place, she wouldn't hold hands, or she would be very careful about when she would kiss me in public. Note, I was open about being single, and she was vague. I could have asked for sure, but maybe my self-absorbed self just assumed she was in the same place as before. For social media was also quiet, and at the time, I was very absorbed in social media. One night, AC invited me to hang out, then go to a concert, with her and her friends. I decided that was the night that we would discuss boundaries and decide what this exactly was. I arrived to see her holding hands and being very close with this one guy we'll call K, and shooting me concerned looks. I put the pieces together right there, but against my better judgment, and because I didn't have a car at the time, I decided to stick around and just get incredibly stoned. Incidentally, I did end up meeting a longtime musician friend that night through this friend group. Later that night, we'd arrived at the bar where the concert would be. AC pulled me aside and told me she's been in a relationship with K for a while, since 2017 or so, and it had been a mistake to let our trust go that far, and that she's chosen to be with him, but that she cherishes my friendship. I said, sure, and left it at that. The bouncer that night happened to be my kickboxing MMA coach and friend, and we talked a bit about it. Our conversation was interrupted by this girl who I ended up exchanging numbers with, but now I'm just boasting. I stayed being friends with AC for a while, in the interest of letting things go and not being a better person. But after a while, I just couldn't hang out with her. In 2020, I met my current partner, 32 female, and we've been dating ever since. I learned that she also knew AC and her circle of friends, all of whom were crappy and rude to her. I've since stopped hanging out with AC, blocked her on everything. This was a couple of years ago, and I'm still kind of salty about it. I understand not to expect closure, but writing it out is helping me to let go and move on. A first reaction from Strontium 9T. She sounds like a whore. Glad you moved on. Our next thought from Navy Corpsman 57. You should have told the dude that night. That would have helped your psyche immensely. She is a crap person and deserves not 1 second of your regard. The OP responds, Mia, it would have. I'm glad to know he's moved on from her as well. I certainly don't plan to go and tell him now. A next thought from Muckle T. Well, you know she ain't marriage or partner material since she cheated on her boyfriend of what, a year and some? She seems to like the new car smell, but still wants old reliable to get her around. Chances are very high if you ever started a relationship with her, she would have cheated on you with yet a new shiny car after a while. Are you salty because of her being a cheater, or because her friend group was mean to your current partner? Or both? The OP closes us out. At this point, it's mainly just that she turned me into an accomplice to cheating. I feel kind of filthy in that way, but at the end of the day, both as well.